We'll move on, Keith, and talk about Leeds United because they still reportedly owed some money to Barcelona for Junior Firpo, the signing they made over 3 years ago. How concerning is that for the club and for Leeds fans?
It's something that I've mentioned before. Is I believe it's about 180 million that is owed on past transfers, which is a big number. Now, of course, it's spread over a number of years, and I understand that. And Frimpo is one of those. But of course, he's out of contract again at the end of next year. So unless he is brought in and given a new contract, which is going to be very difficult for Leeds to do in the Championship, then they're going to lose him next season. This is exactly what we're talking about with Leicester. Here's a position where Frimpo is going to be, a great asset for them to try and get out of the Championship, which is fine. But, they'd rather get some money for him, I think. And certainly they're going to have to pay money for him. So they're stuck with these conundrums with a number of players, as I understand it. And so it is very much for Angus Kinnear a big financial juggling act at the moment. They've got the power of their very good ownership group behind them. But this is where there's got to be clear planning and strategic thought behind it. But at the same time, that big cloud of getting promotion back from the Championship is hanging over them. So it's a difficult game of three-dimensional chess for Leeds this year. And it's going to be really at the top level in terms of Angus and the ownership group who have got to make these decisions. And this is going to be a tough one. They've got to get it right.
And Keith, picking up on one or two other players that you sort of mentioned in there, we know Jack Harrison's expected to return to Everton for his second successive loan spell. What are your thoughts on that for Everton, but also from Leeds' perspective? And are they missing out potentially on a star that could actually help them get promoted from the Championship going into the next season?
Yeah, as I understand it, that's done, and he is coming back on loan. And yes, I think it's probably best for Leeds that his wages are off the wage bill. So I think that's just unavoidable for them. Of course, he would have helped in terms of a Championship push, but as I say, they're going to have to be on a very, very tricky tightrope here between the actual budgets they can spend and the squad they can put on the pitch, and again, any PSR breaches. It's harder in the EFL. They can't start selling stadiums and different things like that, as we've seen Chelsea try and do. So Leeds are going to be, say it's going to be a tightrope for them. And I think Harrison in particular is one that they're pleased he can go. I do expect to see some other sales. I think Neonto, I keep on struggling with his name, but Neonto, I think, is one that would probably go as well. And it's going to be difficult for them. They'll still end up with a squad that can challenge, but it won't be the quality of squad that they had last season. And I think they're going to have to readjust and give it a real good go from great teamwork. So I think Daniel Farke's got his work cut out, but I think he's a scrapper as a manager as well, and I give him every chance. Leeds are always going to be competitive, and they're going to be battling at the top again, but they've just got to make it sustained, and that's what the difficulty always is in the Championship, is keeping that sustained challenge up. Getting a good start is crucial in the Championship as well, but it's then that sustainability of a challenge is brutal with the the Tuesday Saturday routine. It's so difficult, and so good luck to them, but it's going to be a very challenging season for Leeds, and let's hope they do it. But it's going to be a tough one.
I mean, Everton, keep picking up on that, are interested in their star, Wilfred Neonto. What do you think? Where would you place his valuation? And actually, would he be a good signing for Sean Dyche? Is that sort of player you'd like to see brought into Everton for next season?
Yeah, there's been talk about him coming to Everton. Certainly, they do like him. Apparently, I would put him, and this is where it is difficult with Leeds because they do have to sell, and so that there is a bit of a situation there, and unless they can get an auction going, which it doesn't appear to be happening right now. But then again, behind the scenes, we're not sure what's really going on and which clubs have shown interest. I would put him around the 30 to 35 million mark. And that's purely because I think the market is depressed in terms of their ability to actually command a higher price. I think he's a talent. I think he could do well in the Premiership. But again, clubs know that they're going to have to sell. And so we may see some movement closer to the end of the window on those sort of players from Leeds as either an auction develops or not, in which case it's going to be tough. But this is going to be a pretty worrying transfer window for Leeds.
And one name to pick up on, Keith, Archie Gray. He's been attracting interest from Premier League and European sides. The latest to be named has been Borussia Dortmund. Is he best to stay at Leeds, do you feel, for another season, or is he likely to leave? Could we see him go for an astronomical fee? And where would you place his valuation at?
Archie Gray is, of course, steeped in Leeds. We understand that. We know the whole family connection and his own personal connection with Leeds. I think another season for him would be great and he would be very crucial in helping them get up. I think if he left after getting the club up and went overseas, which I think would be what they'd want to do rather than having competing in another Premier League team, I think Germany would be a great move for him personally. And I think that he may well go after next season. I think he will give the club one more season to try and help them get up. And I think that would be well received by the fans because they know that he's Leeds through and through. But I think in terms of valuations, if he was to go to Germany, you've got to be looking there in the 45, 50 million pound mark. He's still very young, but I think the talent is there. And particularly if he gets through a very tough championship season and shows the talent we all think he's got and one more year of experience, then I think he could reach that sort of valuation.
And Keith, I know we discussed during the playoffs what that might look like for Leeds and their different potential transfer plans, whether they were promoted or weren't. Do you think that Daniel Farke will already know who's likely to stay and leave at Elland Road? Will there have been contingency plans in place if they weren't to get promoted, which of course they didn't?
Well, as I say, it's going to be a very, very difficult transfer window. So while they may have had plans, I'm afraid those plans are really written in pencil because things will be coming in. They'll have to take certain offers that they may not have wanted to because other ones aren't coming in for the players they did want to move on. It'll be moving continually. And I feel sorry for them because I've been in that situation before when you just you're not really in control of your own destiny. And so you have to react as you go forward. So the manager will be, I think, very, very relieved when the transfer window closes this time and he actually sees what squad he's got left. He will certainly have got plans and ideas and he'll have shared those. But the reality is they're under such financial pressure that they may not be able to get the squad that they wanted to, and that they're going to have to react to offers as they come in.
And picking up on that 180 million, if we come back to the beginning, Keith, what does that mean for their sales? Are we expecting, I know we've mentioned there are going to be a couple of sales, but could we see a mass exodus from Elland Road potentially this summer?
I think a mass exodus would probably be a slight exaggeration, but I think we're going to see maybe 4 or 5, which is a big number, certainly, and if it's the quality as well of in the squad. So Leeds is something that we're going to have to watch very carefully, and certainly it's going to be a very tough window. I expect to see, as I say, a lot of clubs waiting until the last minute. And that's when I think we're going to see a lot of pressure put on Leeds then, because they know themselves that their numbers are difficult, and they're going to have to also in the EFL as well. As say, it's a different measure than it is in the Premier League. So it's going to be a very tough summer for them. That's when a chief executive and the board members really, earn their crust, if you like. It's a very tough time, and how you handle the agents and the players, etc. It's going to be brutal. And look, I'm wishing them luck, and I hope they get the offers they want, and I hope it happens in an orderly fashion. But I've got a funny feeling this could be a chaotic summer at Elland Road.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.